The sun was setting over the vast expanse of the Mojave Desert, painting the horizon in streaks of orange and purple. Emily Hart gripped the steering wheel of her vintage red Mustang, her knuckles white as she sped along the desolate stretch of Route 66. The hum of the engine was the only sound, drowning out the storm brewing in her mind. She hadn't planned on taking the famous road trip. In fact, she hadn't planned on running at all. But a cryptic note slipped under her door the previous morning had changed everything. They know. Get out. Route 66. The note had no signature, no explanation, just 3 chilling words that sent her packing with only a duffel bag, a burner phone, and the gut instinct that someone was following her. Emily glanced in the rearview mirror for the 100th time. The highway behind her stretched endlessly, barren except for a distant set of headlights. Her heart sank. The black SUV had been tailing her for hours, never getting too close but never disappearing either. It all started a month ago when Emily, an investigative journalist, stumbled onto something she shouldn't have. While researching a fluff piece on real estate deals in Chicago, she uncovered a web of corruption linking a powerful billionaire, an underground criminal network, and several politicians. She had been careful, or so she thought. Her editor praised her draft, but warned her not to publish it until they had more evidence. Then her editor disappeared. Emily shook her head, trying to push the memories away. She focused on the road ahead as the Mustang's headlights illuminated an old, weathered sign. Welcome to Amboy, Route 66's forgotten oasis. The small town was little more than a cluster of rundown buildings, a gas station, and a diner. Emily debated stopping, but her gas gauge was nearly on empty. She pulled into the station, the Mustang's tires crunching on gravel. The attendant, an elderly man with a stooped posture, emerged from the shadows. He squinted at her through thick glasses. "Fill her up?" he asked in a gravelly voice. "Yes, please," Emily replied, her voice steady despite her nerves. As he worked, she leaned against the car, her eyes scanning the area. The black SUV rolled into town and slowed, its windows dark and impenetrable. Emily's pulse quickened as it continued past the gas station and parked near the diner. "Everything okay, miss?" the attendant asked, noticing her distracted gaze. Emily forced a smile. "Just a long drive. How far to the next town?" "About 50 miles, he replied. "Not much out there but desert and road." "Perfect," she thought grimly. She paid the man and climbed back into the Mustang. Before she could pull away, her burner phone buzzed. She snatched it from the passenger seat, her stomach churning. "Unknown number. Stay on Route 66. You're close to the truth." Her hands shook as she typed back. "Who are you? What do you want?" No reply. The headlights of the SUV flicked on, and it began to move, pulling onto the road behind her. Emily clenched her jaw, her foot pressing harder on the gas pedal as she accelerated out of Amboy. The night deepened, and the desert air grew colder. Emily's high beams illuminated the endless road ahead, but her thoughts were anything but clear. She replayed the pieces of her investigation in her mind, trying to make sense of the puzzle. The billionaire, Victor Mallory, had ties to a shell company laundering money for a cartel. Emily had traced transactions to offshore accounts and found connections to local officials. But there was one name she couldn't place, someone referred to only as the broker. Whoever they were the link between Mallory's operation and the politicians covering it up. And now, they were hunting her. A sudden glint of light in her rearview mirror snapped her back to reality. The SUV was closing in, its engine roaring. Emily's heart raced as it swerved into the oncoming lane, attempting to overtake her. Her instincts kicked in. She slammed the accelerator, the Mustang surging forward. The SUV matched her speed, its dark windows like soulless eyes staring her down. Suddenly, the SUV swerved, ramming into her rear bumper. Emily screamed, fighting to keep control of the car as it fishtailed. Her phone buzzed again. "Unknown number. Don't stop. They want you alive." Emily gritted her teeth, anger and fear mingling as she tightened her grip on the wheel. "Not today," she muttered. Up ahead, she spotted a turnoff, a narrow dirt road leading into the darkness. Without hesitation, she veered onto it, her tires kicking up clouds of dust. The SUV hesitated before following, its headlights cutting through the haze. The dirt road was rough, jarring the Mustang as she sped along it. The landscape around her grew more treacherous, with jagged rocks and steep drops on either side. The SUV was gaining again, its larger frame better suited for the terrain. Emily spotted an old wooden bridge up ahead, its planks weathered and unstable. She had no choice. Gunning the engine, she sped onto the bridge, the Mustang's tires clattering loudly. The SUV followed, but halfway across, the bridge groaned under the weight. Emily glanced in her mirror just in time to see the structure collapse, sending the SUV plummeting into the ravine below. Breathing hard, she pulled over on the other side, her body shaking with adrenaline. The burner phone buzzed again. Unknown number. You bought yourself time. Keep going to the abandoned motel near mile marker 235. You'll find what you're looking for. Emily wanted to scream, to demand answers, but deep down, she knew this was her only shot. She started the car again and drove, the dirt road eventually leading her back to the main highway. Hours later, she spotted the motel, a crumbling relic of Route 66's golden age. Neon letters hung crookedly from a rusted sign, the Dreamland Inn. Emily parked and stepped out, her every nerve on edge. The air was eerily still as she approached the office, its windows dark. Pushing the door open, she found a single envelope taped to the counter with her name scrawled across it. Inside was a USB drive and a note. This contains everything. Mallory, the broker, their network. Deliver it to Agent Keller. Trust no one else. Emily's chest tightened. She had what she needed to bring the entire operation down, but the cost had been unimaginable. She pocketed the drive and turned to leave, only to find herself face to face with a figure in the shadows. Going somewhere? A deep voice growled. The last thing she saw was the glint of a weapon before everything went black. When Emily awoke, she was in the back seat of her Mustang, the USB drive still clutched in her hand. Her car was parked on a cliff overlooking the desert, the first rays of dawn breaking over the horizon. A piece of paper was tucked into her jacket pocket. You got lucky. Next time we won't miss. Emily sat there for a long moment, the weight of the drive in her hand. She had come too far to stop now. With the sun rising, she started the engine and drove toward the distant skyline, determined to finish what she started. Route 66 had tested her resolve, but the road ahead held the promise of justice.